Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ilyas from the Department of Education, Hazara University, Mansehra. Today's presentation is about the what, why, and how of the focus group discussion, which is an important and a very useful data collection technique in many qualitative research studies. So let us begin with the what of this particular technique or the definition of this particular concept. Focus group discussion, or and some researchers also call it focus group interview, is a qualitative data collection technique. So what happens is that generally a focus group discussion or interview involves a group of participants in a focused discussion around an issue, topic, or research question. And focused discussion actually means detailed discussion related to the what, how, and why of the particular research topic that is being explored. The aim of focus group discussion is actually exploring the perceptions or viewpoints of or arguments related to a particular research topic. Generally, a focus group consists of actually between 6 to 12 participants, besides the moderator, which is generally one person and an assistant or a number of assistants. There could be variation in terms of the participants in the particular focus group discussions, and this variation will be in response to the aims and objectives and certain practical realities, such as the availability of the number of participants. But ideally, between 6 to 12 participants is something that is considered a very useful number for exploring topics in detail and for data saturation. So now we move to the why of focus group discussion, or in other words, what are the aims of focus group discussion as a qualitative data technique. So the first thing is we generally researchers conduct focus group discussions because it helps in bringing about multiple perspectives related to the topic that is under discussion. And actually this means arguments and counter arguments related to the issue that is under discussion. Similarly, focus group discussion is also useful because it helps in the stimulation of ideas, which is actually when one participant or a number of participants come up with their own points of view related to the issue. The other participants have the time to think about it, and that actually helps in the stimulation and generation of ideas. Then the next important thing is that focus group discussions provide opportunities for participants to reconsider and rethink their viewpoints when they find evidence or counter evidence to their own viewpoints. So this is also something very useful. And then the other very practical thing because of which focus group discussion is a very useful method is that it is time saving, and it also saves resources, because in the same time, which is between 1 hour and 2 hours, instead of interviewing one person, the researcher is able to interview more than one person, or a group of persons, or a group of participants, and this actually might help in saving time and resources. Then convenience is another thing. Generally in interviews, in semi-structured interviews with individual participants, The researcher generally has to go from one place to another place to meet and conduct interviews. But in focus groups, the convenient thing is that you actually gather people in one place, and it is generally more convenient to have access. Then the other important thing, the other useful thing about focus group discussion is that it helps in getting detailed data, because the number of participants are responding to the questions or the issue that is under discussion, and so there comes a lot of detail. Generally, qualitative researchers are interested in getting details related to issues, and so this particular data collection technique helps them in getting detailed qualitative data. Then we move on to the how of it. And this how actually means how to conduct focus group interviews or focus group discussion. So generally, focus group discussion does not begin with the discussion, but the selection of a particular research topic or issue or research questions, which is generally the case with most research studies. Then the second thing that the researchers need to do about is the preparation or logistics of the preparatory stage of the focus group discussion is something that's quite important. And so the preparation might include preparation in terms of the researcher's own studying and reading around the topic that they want to actually explore in the focus group. Similarly, logistics such as the various devices that need to be used in the focus group or the interview process. And similarly, preparation in terms of actually inviting and then collecting these the people that are being interviewed in a particular place. So these preparations are also very important to think about before conducting the focus group discussion. Then selection of appropriate suitable participants is also very important. In many cases, it can happen that the participants that have been selected might not be very suitable in terms of the information that is needed for exploring this particular topic. So the selection of the appropriate suitable participants is also an important consideration in terms of the how question to the FGD. And then the selection of suitable place and allocation of time is also something that should come in the planning of the focus group discussion. The suitability of time and place both for the researcher and for the research participants is quite important, and this needs very detailed consideration. Then we have this could be done face to face, or it could be done virtually using technology. So focus groups can be conducted by actually gathering people in one place and conducting the focus group face to face. But this could, in our modern technology-driven era and technology-driven research processes, this is now also possible to conduct virtual focus groups through the use of technology and media such as Zoom and Teams and other such applications. So this could also be one of the considerations in terms of when we are looking at the how of the focus group discussion. The how also includes that we need to keep certain things in mind, such as preparation of the person who is going to conduct, or the researcher who is going to conduct the focus group. And this preparation actually includes reading well and reading comprehensively related to the area or the topic that we are going to explore. Similarly, reflecting on what we have read so that we can develop questions, and If we could conduct a pilot study before we go for the formal conduct of the focus group, that is also something that will be very useful. Mostly research students or junior researchers might need to conduct pilot studies so that they are well prepared for the main focus group processes. And similarly, supervisory advice, if the researcher is actually a research student, in that case, supervisory advice might also be very important consideration. Time management, as I mentioned previously, is also something that is very, very important. And it is quite important that the most important questions and the most important ideas must be explored in the time that has been allocated. Similarly, convenience of the respondents must be considered. The respondents should not be put in situations which are not convenient for them, which causes any inconvenience, because this is something very important. Then there are certain ethical considerations, such as confidentiality of the information or the identities of the people who are actually included in the focus group discussion is quite important. Anonymity and confidentiality are more difficult to actually to make sure in focus group discussions, because this is not individual interview where the researcher can keep anonymity and confidentiality. But in this case, there are certain considerations that need to be and certain steps that need to be taken in order to ensure confidentiality. Similarly, equality of opportunities for all the participants in the discussion is also very important, and so the researchers should make it sure to provide similar or equal opportunities for expressing their ideas and views to all members of the focus group. Safety and security of the research of the participants of the focus group participants is quite important. Similarly, courtesy on the part of the interviewer or the researcher is also very important. Dealing with possible moderator bias is also an important consideration. Maybe the researcher or the moderator has certain biases related to particular viewpoints about an issue. And so those focus group participants who support that particular idea might be favored by the researcher. But as the researcher, this should be kept in mind, that the research process is actually getting to things and getting the ideas in a more objective way, rather than bringing in your own bias or subjectivity into the process. So this is also very important. The next thing is keeping records, taking notes is very important. So because it is a very difficult process generally to actually collect or gather people into one place and to arrange focus groups. So that's why it is very important that the recording process must be ensured properly, so that the data that is coming there is recorded properly and is saved properly for later use. Similarly, taking notes will also be important, which will actually be supporting the process of the data recording process. There are certain qualities that participants of the FGD and the moderators should have in order to have effective and useful focus group discussions. So the participants should generally be knowledgeable people. So when the moderator or the interviewer or the researcher is actually selecting participants, he or she should make sure that these people are knowledgeable people. Besides knowledgeable, they should be articulate, so that they can express their views well or adequately, or so that they can give information in a way that is clear and succinct. And then they should be one of the other very important qualities is that they should be objective and they should be rational. Besides, participants, one desirable quality of participants is that they should be disciplined, and that means that they wait for their turn and they let other people talk and share their views, and they don't get angry or hyped, and that they are good listeners. Similarly, they should be forthcoming in terms of expressing their ideas, which means they should not shy away from expressing the essential or actually sharing the ideas or the views that are very important for the research process. Trustworthiness is also important because in focus groups, as a number of people are involved, and especially if the researcher is exploring sensitive issues, generally it will be a very useful thing for the participants to be trustworthy and to keep the confidentiality of the information that the other group members of the focus group are sharing. And so this is also something very important. So these are the important and very useful qualities that are desired, that should generally be desired in the research participants. Similarly, the moderators or the researchers might also need to have certain qualities that are important for a useful conduct of the focus group discussions. And that includes, again, that the moderator should be knowledgeable, they should have adequate knowledge. Again, they should be articulate so that they can ask proper questions, so that they can articulate proper prompts and probes, and so that they are clear about what they are actually asking the focus group members. Similarly, they should be objective and they should be experienced, but every moderator is not experienced. In that case, they might need more guidance from their supervisors, such as research students need this guidance. They should also be good listeners, and again, they should be alert to details, they should be alert to interesting ideas that they might want to explore in further detail. And so alertness is something very important. Similarly, they should not be interfering. In other words, they should let the group members and each and every group member to freely express their ideas, but at the same time, they should be alert and they should be cautious to keep the group discussion on a track in order to achieve the objectives of the group discussion and in order to achieve the objectives of the research.